Back in 2019, when TFT first launched, the superstars initially were people who had existing audiences on Twitch. Disguised Toast, It's Hafu, Dog, Skara.
There were a lot of streamers that were big, getting like 15, 20,000 viewers, rating each other back and forth.
Everyone loved TFT.
People that were like Milk, like Soju, that came like probably like a month later.
It was wild to see how many big streamers from different genres came across just to play this new auto chess thing from Riot. The first time I remember starting to follow TFT streamers, and not just my friends from Hearthstone or from other games in the past, maybe I'm a little biased because I helped organize it, but the Twitch Rivals event at TwitchCon, I got to meet a good mixture of TFT main players versus the streamers.
We are here live at the San Diego Convention Center here for TwitchCon 2019.
Riot just came out with effectively their second game, right? And the whole meme was they were Riot Game, not Riot Games. TwitchCon was there to help remind people like, hey, this game can also be played competitively, which was quite a spectacle.
I mean, it was insane.
This is the first time that there's a big prize pool and a lot of audience to get people's names out there.
It was my first time playing in a on stage real esports event.
We're already having a major event with a massive company behind it. That's what was in my head, is like, this is like the start of TFT getting a tournament scene.
It was like over 100 people in the open bracket, and it was done in multiple rounds. So you had to finish in the top 2 in your lobby to advance. Many of the folks that I was scared of going in were people that I knew well before TFT. Everyone went in knowing Skara was a beast. Everyone went in knowing Hafu was a beast. There were definitely players that were known, but there were plenty of players that are now household names that are in that event, like Soju, quite frankly, that I think were relatively under the radar, at least from my perspective going in. How would I describe Soju? Oh my God, how much time do we have? Let's see here. I mean, let's start with something that I think most people wouldn't start with, which is great TFT player.
Arrogant.
Fuck you, Toast.
Kinda dumb.
And then this stuff I don't really know, but I think like India is like over here or something.
Endlessly energetic.
Silly.
I don't even care. I'll admit it. I pee in the pool. I don't give a fuck. It actually feels kind of nice. No cap.
What? What is he even saying half the time? I don't even get it.
Yes!
Woohoo! We've got 8 people who have a chance to win $45,000 in one game of Teamfight Tactics.
Where? Why did he run forward?
Oh! What? We're down to top 3. Hafu, Soju, and Shrike.
Double stacked frozen too.
Jay's Shred will take the victory.
Seeing Soju do that well in Rivals meant that, hey, I needed to pay more attention. And I imagine there were a lot of people who had a very similar reaction.
It wasn't just that Soju placed third. The TFT players showed up and showed, hey, look, yes, Tides of Time and Toast and Hafu, like they have the skills. But we dedicate ourselves to TFT, and we're showing you that this game can be played at an incredible level with consistency. We're so much better than them. And so it just intrigues a few people, and that's a domino effect, because the more people pay attention, the more they can say, hey, look, this is actually really cool, and this guy is really funny, and that's how it all snowballs.
Twitch Rivals served as a turning point in Soju's career, marking him as one of the most popular TFT-born personalities. And just as a great fire begins with a spark, Soju's career would soon find a fire starter of its own.
After he'd already grown because of Twitch Rivals, he had sort of put himself at the level of a mainstay, I guess, in the North American streamers, but Kurum was far and away the biggest North American like TFT-born streamer for set 1 and set 2. Kurum not only was bigger than Soju, but he was the #1 most watched TFT streamer, #1. So Riot announces an event. They announced the set 3 Invitational. And it was received really poorly because Kurum wasn't there. And the person who called it out Riot the most was Soju.
He actually streams 1 million fucking hours every single day. #1 most watched TFT channel, and he's consistently high ranked. He streams every single day for 8 hours. Where the fuck is his invite?
Not for himself, he made it very clear in the rant, I remember this vividly, I'm okay with not being there, but Kurum should be there.
There's many sides to Soju. A lot of people know his arrogant front-facing side, but he's always got this really warm, soft spot for his friends.
Surprisingly, but kind of unsurprisingly, because of like how Twitch works, it actually was really good for his viewership. The popularity he got from that, plus the popularity he already had, plus the fact that Set 3's popularity was insane, he spiked ridiculously hard. I also think he broke out of his shell a bit there. I think he was more willing to do more exuberant displays.
Ray! What the fuck? I'm down 6 gold!
Throughout all of Set 3, he spikes hard and hard and hard, and by the middle of Set 3, it's not close if you compare Soju and Kurum anymore. Soju's clearly number 1. And it doesn't stop, it just continues to grow every set.
Some people might ask or wonder, is this really how Soju, is this really who Michael is? Is he actually himself, or is k3soju a persona?
I think when he's streaming, he's much more in the mindset of like, I want to be entertaining.
Soju is a really nice human being when the kind of character part of it falls away, right? Because let's be honest, streaming, you are in character, whether or not you're Dr. Disrespect and you're like throwing on the makeup and you're doing a whole shtick, or whether or not you're just creating a certain version of yourself that works in that environment. Playing it up on some level, flaming people back, whatever. This is like your armor as a streamer.
And what the fuck do you mean minimizing damage? You fight any other player, your frontline is your fucking Nidalee?
You don't really see it on his stream, like he will flame the hell out of someone in his chat. Soju's the person where if I tweet and it's like clear somehow in my tweet that I'm having a terrible day, like he's reaching out to me, he's the first one. Hey, you wanna hop on a call, you wanna talk? And you'll see that not just in the way he speaks to his friends privately, but also like, he's not trying to make himself the solo TFT, he owns the TFT category. He wants to build his friends up.
In a lot of ways, he would rather his friends succeed even more than he is.
Dude, it's so fucking sad.
You're crying for milk?
Dude, it's so sad. Fuck. Dude, I wanted him to win Worlds so bad. And like, you already know he's so hard on himself.
He's down to do whatever he can to help his friends and keep building him up. Like, Soju is the person who really started doing like these 8-person calls, and then everyone kind of rises with Soju.
It's not like he goes live and has 15,000 people watching him by accident. He is incredible at what he does. He is super entertaining while also being really good at the game and creating a super compelling viewership product.
It's something that I thought was an inevitability. I just didn't know when it was gonna happen. When you look at his personality, I mean, the guy is just a magnet. I'm so glad that events like Twitch Rivals was able to help him get noticed in the first place by some viewers, but he was always gonna be a superstar.
And while Soju found success in the form of a massive audience and results at the game's inception, his competitive success did not grow with his following.
But to see Noob Owl and Soju 1 single point behind that cut to day number 2, how close can you possibly get?
Over the course of the next 2 years, Soju would yield middle-of-the-pack performances event after event, with many ending in an early exit. By the middle of 2022, some would even go so far as to say that Soju was merely a TFT influencer and not a competitive threat.
I'm really excited for this regionals actually. I know this is gonna air after regionals, but this is the first regionals I've been going in thinking of Soju as a favorite at the event, and it would not remotely surprise me to see him qualify for Worlds through this event. I am very tired of the Twitch chatter narrative that Soju is a ladder warrior and that Soju is not actually good at TFT. I think it's fair to say that he's not one of the best 3 tournament players in North America usually when he enters an event. But if the question is that his skill ceiling? If he tries, if he preps like he has going for this regionals going into event, can he get there? Absolutely he can.
You heard me, the North American TFT Regionals begins now.
Than k3soju, a player who hasn't
quite been able to prove that in tournaments.
His tournament history has been a little all over the place.
I think that it's very easy when you're talking about Soju to just focus on the content and how popular his stream is and think of him as a content creator.
Hopping on to Cloud9 K3soju's perspective, who is on that bubble, needs to have a solid finish to guarantee himself
the way in which he engages with his chat, the way in which he engages with other players, it all comes natural to him.
Soju is at level 7, but this is not typical Soju play to be so low econ in the mid game.
But his loss is the gain of Cloud9's K3soju. He needed a top 4 and he got it. New Soju. It's not K3soju, it's day 3 Soju.
Maybe this is just Soju's day. It is just on you, my friend. All of the pieces are in place. Can you turn this into a top 4? Can you make day 3 at
regional? In the field full of people that have spent a lot of time kind of very intentionally working at their gameplay, Soju has intuited the game.
This final game is going to be massive. I mean, it is such a tight race.
Goes down to just 16 and one last chance to fight for that World Championship spot.
It is Seraphine 3 against Soju's board for his tournament life.
Installed, but I just don't think there's enough to get there. Soju's gonna take big damage if all these units survive. Soju, no!
Am I just out?
This is a big moment, and all we can do is wait for those lobby scores. And I just got word, they're here.
Soju! No way! There's no way!
Holy
Cloud9 K3soju,
dude.
Welcome to the World Championship!
Are you kidding me? People thought we were memeing when we predicted him as one of the tournament favorites, but he actually one time really was in peak form. Don't talk if you don't know.
Like, the reason it was just so big for me is because I actually like fully expected. So like TFT is like a game of like a lot of variants. Like I really did think I was one of the better players going in, and I still expected not to make it to Worlds a single time in my career. The thing is with Twitch Rivals is like I knew I was the best, but I think set 7 regionals, when I actually made it to Worlds from it, is like one of the tournaments that are going to be super memorable. I didn't think I was the best because the other players were bad. I thought that I was the best because I put in the most work. I really want people to think that like after I retire, people will think that like, man, this guy was actually probably like top 5 of all time, not just like unlucky we lost a streamer.
All right, I'm not trying to cringe it up and cry on cam, so I'm gonna fucking hot.
Look, the reality of Soju is he's a special combination of good at the game, entertaining. There are lots of people out there like that just kind of need a catalyst moment, and then once that happens, it's like, all right, we're off to the races. And it feels like Rivals might have been the start of Soju's journey in that way.
I don't think that Soju needed the tournament at all to put himself as a top player. Just by being on the Twitch Rivals broadcast and doing well is just a way to make himself bigger, and so it's becoming more known, which is, in my opinion, a lot more important than being considered good.
People looking at Soju and understanding just how much potential there is for a game like TFT is a really big deal towards our future. I think that he has his detractors for sure, but overall his stream is a really fun-loving experience. It's a great showcase of TFT, and there's a reason why he's so popular. So, I mean, how influential is Soju to TFT? I think it's hard to overstate it, quite frankly.
Why do people keep watching Soju? Why do people keep watching Soju? Because he's real, man. He's real. His shtick about how he has ego and that he trash talks and that he's high skilled, he's all those things, but he's also himself, and that's really authentic. I feel like Fame really hasn't changed him that much, except he plays more Baccarat. And you know, if that's his worst vice, then I'm all for it, man. I love that guy.